Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Want to know how much money you really have and what that money is really worth? Well, I've got news for you. None of this is real.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
In working in the financial trenches these past 41 years and in offering just about every financial product a financial advisor might decide to shake a stick at, one thing this little man in a sweater vest has learned about the value of money and possessions in retirement is this. No matter what someone says something is worth or what value it might have today or in the future, here's the sad truth about the amount of money you and I have worked so hard to save. A dollar is not real until it is converted to cash and used. In other words, none of this is real. Don't believe me? Well, stay tuned as we will review 5 very popular retirement planning concepts and why they may not be real at all. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and today you are in for a very unique take on money and what you think the money you have is really worth, as I will dive into a true understanding of knowing whether the many financial products and concepts pitched by us in the financial world, if they're real or just on paper. These 5 popular financial ideas are ones that most savers either never think of or are simply too gullible to understand that they're too good to be true sales pitches or oftentimes, that's right, simply too good to be true. In other words, it's not real. You see, friend, the dirty little financial secret that we in the financial world would rather not talk about is how bad we need your money to stay in business. It's called other people's money, or OPM. For the financial world to live on OPM, they must have your money to pull it off, and oftentimes at your expense. The result, much of what you think you see is not real at all. And while we might argue that we in the financial world have the best intentions in handling OPM, in the end, many financial advisors and the institutions they place their money with have one thing in common. The game consists of you not taking your money back from them. Because if you do, we stop making money on your money. It's that simple. And while I could cover dozens of financial products and concepts touted by the financial world as the greatest thing since sliced bread, in today's episode of None of This is Real, I've decided to cover 5, and here they are. First, the much advertised and enticing free bonus annuities. Number 2, the magic of compound interest, particularly paid on today's high CD rates. Number 3, income riders on annuities paying guaranteed rates as high as 10% per year. Then there's number 4, the significant growth over the years of your 401k on paper versus what it's really worth in your pocket. And finally, number 5, the real value of your money after it gets bombarded with something I call the stealth tax. So if you're retired or thinking of retiring in the near future and you are wondering why you are still worried as to what this money is real and what is not, well, stay tuned as we cover our show today called None of This is Real. I'm Tony Walker. This is the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back.
This Tony Walker Financial 5-star review comes to us from Scott Mumaw. I am so glad I did my homework before I retired and I found my way to Tony Walker. He provided us with an easy to understand and follow retirement plan. His staff provides the ultimate in customer support. This company is the real deal. If you'd like to read more of our 5-star reviews, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 3,500 happy clients and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. In studying under some of the greatest financial minds in the country, and after spending years in deep study and having successfully completed program curriculums in both the CLU and CFP educational programs, here's what I've learned these past 40 years in the business. And what is money worth and what it's not worth? Well, I've learned this. None of this is real. And to prove it, I've picked 5 very popular concepts. So let's kick it off with a Tony in the Trenches from Rick out of Shelbyville, Kentucky, who asked the following. Tony, I recently attended a dinner seminar and the advisor suggested we invest in what's called a bonus annuity, which offered free money of 20% right up front. Is this too good to be true? And how can an annuity pay such a high upfront bonus? Well, first, in my 41 years of doing business with insurance companies, I have yet to meet or work with any insurance company who is willing to give away free money. There is no such thing. In fact, while we do offer bonus annuities, we're going to find out more about this in a minute. In fact, we even have one annuity company offering a 50% bonus. We don't always use them or tout them based on the plan. Why? Because as we have stated, none of this is real, including these free bonuses. So, to help us understand more about these free bonuses and what to look for before you dive into one of them, let's turn to our own Heather Hughes, the fiduciary in our Bowling Green office, and also who does all of our research on the annuities we sell through Tony Walker Financial. Well, good morning, Heather.
Good morning, Tony.
All right, you've been with me almost 20 years now. You're one of our main people there that research annuities. You've been around these annuities for years. What can you tell us about these bonus annuities, and are they free?
There are a ton of annuities out there that do offer bonuses. They can be a good thing. Sometimes they're a little bit of a marketing trap. So it really depends on what you need the annuity for. It should be the driving factor on which annuity you choose. Often these bonuses, you'll hear up to 20% bonuses and things like that. Oftentimes they come with a fee. So basically you're paying back that bonus year after year. Not always, but sometimes that's the case. We've even got a bonus that pays 50% onto an income account value. We don't use it that often. In some cases we will, depending on the situation. So I think, for consumers to be out there, I think that they need to look at the bonuses and how it relates to their money, and how they plan to utilize it. So oftentimes don't just be enamored by, oh, you're going to get a 20% bonus, easy money, because there's always a catch, whether it's a fee that you're going to have to pay back, or it might be in terms of lower caps or participation rates down the road on how you earn interest against the annuity.
And of course, too, sometimes larger surrender charges if you happen to get out early. I guess they're going to recapture and take that bonus back in a lot of cases, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And as we've seen some that we've actually tried to help clients out on that had a nice bonus up front. The surrender charge was for 10 years, but the bonus had a surrender charge on it itself that went for 14 years. So, owners of those annuities didn't realize that when they thought that 10-year period was up, their money was free and clear. But in fact, the bonus still remained tied up for an additional 4 years.
So I guess, as we have always said, and we'll conclude with this, sometimes in finance and products, if it sounds too good to be true, there's a good chance it probably is, right?
More than likely. I think that really kind of begs the importance of having somebody that's had experience dealing with annuities, know the ins and outs, and look for a fiduciary that can work in your best interest.
Well, thank you for all you do, Heather, and you make it a good day.
Thanks. You too, Tony.
All right, the number 2, that's right, the magic of compound interest. And this is a subject that takes a lot of weight right now because CD rates are so high. As we record this show in September of 2025, you can still get them around 5%. And now what I'm getting ready to show you is compound interest in what we call an after-tax account. So let's take a look at this and see what really is real here. Now on the surface, we've got somebody that, let's say, you can't get a CD for 20 years, but we're just imagining we could. Let's say we could get 5%. They put $500,000 in this CD or taxable account. At the end of 20 years on paper, they have over $1.3 million. But is that a real number? In the CD at the bank it is, but what were the costs to get there? Let's take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. So when you have compound interest in a taxable environment, you actually compound the taxes. Depending on a tax bracket, you might owe $7,500 in taxes, but if you leave the money at the CD at the bank, it still has $525. So you got to come out of pocket to pay the tax. Many of you are doing this and you don't realize what's going on. You leave the money at the bank, it charges the interest, you get a 1099, you have to pay the tax. But notice what happens as this account grows. So too, over the next 5 years, do the taxes each year. Let's go out to the 6th through the 10th year. Again, the account's growing. That's a real number at the bank, but it's not the real amount of money in your pocket. I mean, these are getting to be some big numbers that you're having to come up with out of pocket. Again, the CD's still growing at the bank. They're still using all your money. They don't care. But what is the real cost to you? You have to remember there's an opportunity cost because you had to come up with the money to pay the tax, which you lost interest on that. And what's that total number? This transaction, to have this much money, cost you $247,000 in taxes and lost opportunity cost. So let's get a drum roll, please. So the final amount in your pocket, after you subtract the taxes and LOC, the real amount is just over $1 million. All right, number 3, here we are, something we love. They're called income riders. But we have to ask ourselves, let's say we have an annuity with an income rider paying 10% guaranteed, which they're out there. Is the income account, which produces my beloved
mailbox money,
is that 10% paid on the income account real money? Actually, it is not. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In our software, we share this with everyone. As fiduciaries, notice the growth rate on the contract value of an income annuity, we're going to show it 0%. This would be a fixed indexed annuity. It could make money, but as a fiduciary, we're going to imagine it doesn't grow, okay? Now, the income account rider, in this case, this company grows at 6.5%. It's still out there. It's guaranteed. And if I just left this at the fact that we can make you 6.5% on your money, you're going to be flying all over yourself to put money in this. But is that a real number? If after these number of years, there's $510,000 in the income account, is it real? Kinda. You see, the income rider is used to calculate your mailbox money. Notice how quickly the account value draws down, meaning at your death, nothing's left. If you live past that point, absolutely, you would get $27,000 for the rest of your life. But since we don't know how long you're going to live, we don't know what is real here. So you might say, well, Tony, what's the purpose of an income account and all this mailbox money? This product is designed to make sure you don't run out of money. Some people need this, some people don't. The only way to know if you're going to need an income account to produce the mailbox money is to get a game plan. All right, next up on the agenda, boy, this is the biggie here, and I got to cover this. The value you think you have in your 401k, I guarantee you, is not a real number. Let's take a look at this. All right, let's imagine today you have $500,000. You put it in your 401k, IRA, whatever, pre-tax, and let's say on average you get 6%. Now, I'm going to just ballpark these numbers so we can blow through this. Roughly, you're going to have, in 20 years, about $1.6 million, and it's on the statement. But is it a real number? Now, we take the $1.6 million, and we're assuming you had to pay on average a 1% fee. 401ks charge fees, brokers charge fees, they're all over the place. We're just imagining 1% has to be deducted out of there per year. Well, that's another $290,000 in fees that's been deducted from this account, okay, over time. Keep going. So that leaves us really about $1.3 million, all right? Keep going, there's more. Well, then on the end, let's say this was all pre-tax. We go at the end of 20 years and you say, all right, cut me a check. Now, let's say you're in a 30% tax bracket. That's $400,000 that's going to Uncle Sam, which leaves you a net of $900,000. But you've had 20 years where you've not touched this money, and this is where the stealth tax comes in. We have the $900,000 after fees, after taxes. We're going to estimate the stealth tax of inflation took another $300,000 off of it, which leaves you $600,000 of real money, but not really, because look at this. Remember, you put in $500,000. That was your cost basis. So really, after all of the taxes, after all of the fees, after all of the stealth tax, the inflation, in about 20 years, you got about $100,000 of real money. And finally, the last, none of this is real, is just what we just touched on. It's something I call the stealth tax, which is inflation. Now, this is difficult to explain, difficult to combat. Live Well, Die Broke deals with the fact that inflation is real. That's why we need to spend and enjoy our money, folks, while we can. Because most of our folks, we cover this in the 3 halves of life all the time. I've been talking about this for years, long before most people understood this concept. As people get older, they spend less money. That's how you combat inflation. You don't combat inflation as a saver by taking more risk. You set yourself up to enjoy the money while you can, realizing that over time you'll spend less, and that's where the mailbox money comes in. But I'm going to explain inflation this way. This is a cool story. I'm holding in my hand a $20 bill right here. Okay, years ago in Lexington, I was working in 1976 at the Kentucky Horse Park where they had an equestrian event, and I was out there running around making $3 an hour setting up jumps for the horses and found a $20 bill in the stall cutting through a barn to go set up some jumps. A lot of money in 1976. I kid you not. Just a few years ago, my wife and I go back to the same horse park in Lexington. They got this huge arena. We're going to go watch a dog show because we love BRTs. I'm walking around the concourse of this building. Again, no joke here, folks. I find a $100 bill. Now, what I thought was interesting here, I found a $20 bill in 1976 at the Kentucky Horse Park. I found a $100 bill a couple of years ago. Let's say it was 2023, I can't remember, at the same horse park. The question is, at the time, which one is worth the most money? So was the $20 bill in 1976 worth more, or the $100 bill found in 2023? Who knows? The point is, folks, inflation is real. This is why you need a game plan from a trained retirement specialist who can deal in the art of retirement planning. You see, at Tony Walker Financial, we're more than just brokers. We can sell you investments. We're more than just annuity folks. We can sell the annuities. What we provide that no one else does is this, a proprietary game plan designed for savers to see what they have, to make sure they use and enjoy that money while they still can without the fear of one day running out. So that's you right now. Maybe you're retired, nearing retirement, you have money to invest, but no one that you feel you can trust. Let's talk. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started, and let's set up that free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. Internet not your thing? Call us anytime at 877-499-9255. We'll be right back.
This Tony Walker Financial 5-star review comes to us from Patsy Stratton. I'm very pleased with Tony Walker Financial. They are friendly and easy to work with. I trust them with doing their best for our money. The team takes time to provide for our future needs. I love how they are like family. I feel at ease that they are helpful with our needs. If you'd like to read more of our 5-star reviews, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, 403b, thrift savings account, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 40 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
The individuals in this interview are uncompensated clients at the time of filming. Their opinions expressed were provided to Worry Free Productions for use as an advertisement by Tony Walker Financial. Please refer to Form CRS and Form ADV Part 2B Disclosure Brochure for information regarding the advisory services offered by Tony Walker Financial.
Our client spotlight today features Mr. Garrett Bates and Miss Melody Bates. And Bates, it's so good to have you with us, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Tony.
It's an honor.
So first of all, tell us a little bit about what you did for a living. We'll start with you, Garrett.
Oh, I was did the corporate grind for 25 years in the healthcare industry and focused on helping the organization run more effectively.
And then yourself, Melanie.
I'm an artist professionally. I do commission portraits.
Wow. And I understand you had a very big honor. Tell us who you were recently commissioned to do a portrait of.
Oh, well, I was honored to be chosen to paint the official portrait of Governor Beshear.
And that is a beautiful portrait. It's something else. You've got to be proud of that.
Thank you. It was actually a dream of mine to paint a Kentucky governor, and couldn't have picked a better governor to be able to paint.
Can't believe the talent. I'm so impressed. Tell us a little bit about the experience in working with the staff. I'm very proud of the staff and just how we run things here and the operation in general.
That level of quality service and just personal relationship has been, really part of the whole experience for these last really 9 years.
To walk into your office talking about finances, it's more than that. I wanted to share something that was really special that was going on in my life with you at the time. And you're a finance guy, but you're also developed that relationship. You've asked, you always ask us, what are we doing and what's up in life? And, it's just,
you make sure that the financial things match up to the things that we're trying to do.
Looking for an advisor you can trust? Schedule your free phone call with Tony at TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 1-877-499-9255.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no-obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Looking to roll over your 401k? Then log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and learn just how easy it is to roll over and safeguard your 401k. Do it today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and as we conclude our show on None of This is Real, I'm reminded of the many appointments I had yesterday in the Louisville office. Again, as we record this show on September 16th, 2025, in most cases, I'll have anywhere from 30 to 40 appointments a week. Some of the folks are current clients that come in for current reviews and just want to get updated on things. Some of them are brand new folks. Some of them are coming in for their second or third appointments to go over the game plan. But what's very interesting with most of the people I meet, now again, folks, you got to understand, our main clientele is over the age of 55. Occasionally we'll work with younger people, but again, if you're listening out there, we are looking for people who are already retired or nearing the age of retirement. That's because this is our specialty, our expertise. We do brokerage, we do annuities, but more importantly, we are retirement planning specialists. We have proprietary software. I have 2 tax certified people on staff. If you're looking for someone to not just sell you something, anybody can do that, but work with you all the way through retirement, that's what we do, and we're really, really good at it. But what was interesting, I had 2 people that came in yesterday, and normally I don't do this, but I could tell they were anxious to know if they could retire. They were both in their early 60s. Again, 2 different sets of folks here, but the same agenda. They came to me wanting to know if they could retire now. One of them had seen one of our client spotlights that featured a gentleman who had retired in his 50s. That kind of got them thinking. The other one just was burned out on work and said, I just can't keep doing this. I'm worn out and I need to see if I can retire. So after talking with them and looking at their initial information, I started asking a lot about what I call their cash flow. In other words, how much money is really going out the back door? Now, both of these folks, keep this in mind, were totally debt-free. So I will say this, for the most part, if you're a saver and you enter into retirement and you have debt, it's not necessarily a problem, but what I've learned is for those who get into retirement and are debt-free, they are much more worry-free. In other words, we can set up a plan more easily because a lot of these people have large 401ks and IRAs that haven't been taxed. So if you think about cash flow, money going out the back door, if you have less cash flow going out the back door, i.e. no debt, in other words, we don't have to service that debt, that means we can take out less money and pay the taxes just to service the debt. I mean, what would you rather do? Would you rather take out more money out of that tax-infested 401k and use and enjoy it, or do you want to take it out and service debt and let the banks and everybody else make money on your money? I would think you would rather take that money out of that tax-infested 401k and use and enjoy it or give it to kids or whatever. Okay, that's the idea. So these people were so anxious, I looked at them and I said, now I'm going to put a game plan together. It'll be about 3 weeks before we can do this and we'll meet again. But here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I told both of them the same thing. I've done this over 40 years. I've literally orchestrated over 5,000 game plans. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you really want to retire, I can assure you, you can do it. And in both cases, they looked at me and they couldn't believe it. And I said, well, what do you think about that? And they said, both of them said, separate meetings again, this made them very nervous. One of them said, this kind of scares me. And I said, well, what scares you about it? And they said, because we don't know how to turn this 401k into a paycheck. We don't know how to take this money and figure out how we're going to live on it. And then both of them were afraid that one day, if they weren't careful, they're going to run out of money. Both sets of folks didn't want to take a lot of risk anymore, although they had in the 401k. They understood that. You can't be taking all this risk if you're a saver in retirement. They didn't have a game plan. They'd been with visiting some other advisors. No game plan. Lots of products pitched to them. Yeah, a lot of, we talked about bonus annuities. They're out there. Everybody and his brother selling bonus annuities. Folks, that's not a plan. They were told to keep all their money in the stock market because over the long term it does well. That's not a plan. Just all of this stuff that had no plan. So what makes me so confident in the work I do and the expertise of our firm is I knew in my heart of hearts they could retire, and personally I couldn't wait to put that game plan together, which again, in about 3 weeks when we meet, I told them, I said, here's your only dilemma. After you see this game plan in 3 weeks, are you really, truly ready to emotionally retire? And that might be you right now. You might be sitting there saying, Tony, if you could prove to me I could retire, man, I'm out of there. And I might say, really? Are you really ready to walk away from your job? What are you going to do? Do you have any hobbies? Have you thought about your time you're going to have on your hands? So folks, this whole idea of retirement, it's not always just about the money. Obviously, it's a big part of it, but a lot of it is what are you going to do when you retire? What plans do you have in place? What major expenditures might be coming along that you're going to need a retirement specialist to help you think through that? That's what we do at Tony Walker Financial. So let's hone in on this and let me make sure I'm clear who we're looking to help at Tony Walker Financial. Here's some people that might want to be interested in what's called a free fiduciary phone call. Number one, if you've recently been pitched a bonus annuity. As we said earlier, we have bonuses on some of our annuities right now as high as 50%. That doesn't mean we're going to advertise and slap everybody in a 50% bonus annuity. Again, as we've talked earlier, all of these contracts have stipulations, gotchas. There's nothing wrong with bonus annuities, but you better know what you're getting into because you can really get stuck in these things and they may not perform as you're thinking they're going to perform. Remember, there really is no free lunch. So maybe that's you. You've been pitched a bonus annuity. Here's one. Maybe you've been to a dinner seminar and it all sounds good, but then all of a sudden they're trying to rush you through the process to invest money with them. That would be another example of somebody we're looking to help. Maybe you're over the age of 59 and a half. Had a gentleman in yesterday. He still wants to work, but he doesn't want his money in the stock market. He wants to move it to us. In many cases, you can roll that 401k over to someone like Tony Walker Financial, still work and contribute to the 401k as long as you're over 59 and a half. Maybe you've just come into a large sum of money. You're a widow or widower, a large inheritance, and you know you need a game plan to protect this money and also how to get some good interest, some good income from it. And again, having a trusted advisor that will be there not just now, but long into retirement. If any of those situations fit your bill, why don't we talk? And we've made this easy to do. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started. Let's set up that free phone call, or if the internet's not your thing, call us anytime to arrange this call at 877-499-9255. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be talking about why so many savers are not confident they can retire and how we can help put that confidence back into your retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you remember you be worry-free and you make it a good one.